Sorry if this video is jumping around a bit. I'm here in my backyard, it's breezy, and I'm in a lawn chair, so I'm really trying to keep this camera so it doesn't make you dizzy. So I wanted to tell you that when I found out that I had gone into menopause, so I was 39, and I didn't know much about it, just that really, really old people got it. That's kind of what I thought. Never talked about it with my mom, who I found out later probably started in menopause when she was about 43. And she had my brother when she was 39, so she was probably going through perimenopause, kind of like I had having my daughter. And my sisters went into menopause young without any kind of signs either, and they were over it. So obviously just a genetic familial thing. So it really is good to ask your moms and your aunts and your grandmas and just see what their story was, because yours could be quite similar, and it would be a really good idea because then you'd know what to look for and how to mitigate the signs that you don't like. So I wanted to find out more about menopause. And to be honest, at that time, because people weren't saying the word like on a radio show, it was almost like it was taboo. It was almost like swearing, or you just didn't do it. And it kind of made you feel yucky, like it was something to hide, and it was something to be ashamed of, something that needed to be kind of kept in the closet, in the female realm. And you certainly didn't really admit that you were going into it or through it, or it just was this, sadly, it was this kind of hidden thing. So I thought, well, I love reading, I love researching, and so I went to Chapters. Chapters Indigo in Canada was just brand new, and it was a huge store. And so I went in there and I was going to find out about menopause. And so I went to the section of women's health. Now, if you can imagine today, if you went into an Indigo, a Barnes & Noble, any of the great big bookstores, and you would look for women's health, you would have probably a whole aisle or two or three on women's health. There's a plethora of stuff out there now. How to do it holistically, how to do it while you travel, how, just you name it, and there's information about it. But at that time, I went to this area where there was women's health, and there was one shelf. It was the top shelf of a cabinet that was about 4 feet wide, and about 20 books on the shelf. That was it. Some by top American researchers, women researchers, doctors. That was it. And there was one in there that talked about menopause. One. Blow your mind? I cracked that book open and I read through, because I couldn't afford to actually buy it. Our kids were young, and I just, money wasn't plentiful, and it was a hardcover. I remember that. And so I stood at the shelf and I kind of surreptitiously went through it, and it talked about signs and symptoms. And I started reading that because that's kind of what I wanted to know, like what should I expect? What had I been feeling anything? Had I been, doing anything wrong or whatever? So I looked up the signs and symptoms, and I'm going through, and in one paragraph it talks about these power surges and how you feel like you're plugged into an electrical socket. And it still makes me pretty emotional today, but I stood there and I put my head down, I put my forehead down on the shelf, and I wept, and I wept, and I wept, and I was trying not to get tears on the book, obviously, because I wasn't going to buy it. But I had felt so alone. There was nobody to talk to, and no doctor, nobody, no friend, no mom, no aunt, nobody I had actually asked about these electrical surges knew what they were. And so I kind of had started to wonder, was I making them up? What were they from? If your doctor doesn't know, where's the next place of recourse? So I just wept, and I felt validated. I felt not normal, but realized that there's at least a few other people in the world had this if they had actually put it into a book. And I walked out of there kind of not a different person by any, I was just, it wasn't like a huge dramatic thing that made my life change. It just made me feel validated and like a human woman, and that I wasn't going crazy, and that I was okay. It wasn't going to make me any sicker, that kind of thing. So that was my experience of getting my first help for menopause. And the reason I tell you that story is hopefully to give some of you hope when you're kind of feeling like there's all these things happening, but you feel like you're maybe too young for them, or maybe your friends aren't talking about them right now because they're so into beautiful skin or, hairstyles, or, their modern homes, and nobody's really talking about those health things that you're going through. But I also am telling you because I've started a Facebook group for women. I've titled it Radiant and Resilient Women 40 Plus. So there's no strict age on that. If you're 35 and you want to come in, come on in. If you want to learn from people that are older and have been through it and wiser, come on in and just listen. Or tell us your fears, tell us your questions, and we'll see if we can answer some of those. I mean, there are a ton of places to go on the internet. Google it and obviously there's books and books and books out about it now. But if you want a group of real women that are somewhere in that journey and that are willing to talk about it, it's not a support group per se. We're not going to be diving deep into, I'm not a counselor. I'm just a woman that has been through it. And I long to let the younger women know that it's not a life sentence. It actually comes and you go through it and it ends. For some people, it's going to be really easy, like me. For other people, it can be quite hard. But better to do it with a group of gals that are just vibrant people. This group is for people that are still traveling and working and having kids and raising kids and having grandchildren, and women that want to still dance and go boating and sailing, and that are playing pickleball, and just having a vibrant, thriving life, and that want to maintain that. They want to figure out how can their skin, their hair, their bones, their ligaments, their tendons, their brain cells, how can those things stay healthy throughout this period and then beyond as we age wisely. I myself am in osteoporosis, got that news a couple of years ago, and that was after a major car accident. So was not my fault, and a guy turned in front of me, and I found out through that several vertebrae in my back had been broken, my sternum had been broken, and they aren't going to heal as well because I have osteoporosis. So I'm under a whole new different regimen of exercise and taking supplements and blah, 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 in order to mitigate that. And my mom had osteoporosis, probably now we know because she went into menopause early. So, it's just really good to know your family history. It's good to talk to people, and you can alleviate some of those fears. You can alleviate bad thoughts, worry, all those different things. So you're never too young to start thinking about it, talking about it, and being prepared. So please, anybody that's 40 plus or any other age, come on into our group and be part of it. Just be a part of the dynamics of it.